I look at something like the press conference that you covered, and I wonder, are these the business interests who weren't invited in the room, whose interests are harmed by this bill, and that's why some of them are opposing it?
Well, I should say it's sort of an interesting collection of people. I think on the one hand, you're right. I think the United States Business and Industry Council represents a lot of these kind of family-owned businesses that have been around for a long time and that stand the most to lose from the trade deal. So that's part of it. The other thing is the American Jobs Alliance. It's sort of an interesting collection of individuals. If you go to their website, they have videos of Pat Buchanan debating Joe Biden in video segments, and they come at this from this very kind of old paleo-conservative kind of mindset where trade deals should be negotiated to reflect, the U.S. national interest. And so what they basically are saying is that, these deals are essentially, for the benefit of multinational corporations whose interests are not just about, American workers and American national interests, but really about maximizing profits, globally. So they have this kind of, I would say, not a mainstream kind of critique that you hear from business interests, but it's sort of this old, kind of old school conservative angle. And then you have joined with them the Tea Party Nation group, and the Eagle Forum, which Eagle Forum, formed by Phyllis Schlafly, infamous anti-feminist crusader in the 1970s, and they're concerned about the national sovereignty issue, which I was trying to talk about before, where basically these trade agreements would expand the system where corporations have the right to sue governments in third-party courts, and so there's a violation of sovereignty there. They would argue. So
Phyllis Schlafly, who said a woman's place is in the kitchen, and was not in the kitchen when she said it. She was giving a speech. Interesting contradiction in terms, but so there's this jingoistic, basically America first kind of crowd. Then there's people, and I would say about those small businesses, they are the job creators, and the left small business groups would agree with them about this agreement. But let's talk about this loss of national sovereignty just for a minute. We got a minute. Tell us about what that means. Tell us about how this country might, for example, lose its ability to, let's say, keep mercury out of tuna fish or something.
So there are these really extreme investor protections that are included in the TPP and other trade deals where, if the government passes a law that somehow negates what had been promised in this trade deal, then the company can say that they're violating the trade deal and can take them to third-party court. So I think of something like, quick example would be something like a fracking ban, for instance. They have this trade agreement signed, let's say with the U.S. and Europe, and a company in Europe is upset about a fracking ban that takes place in a state where they already had plans to frack the land and drill for gas. They could say, well, this is a violation of the trade agreement. They can sue the United States. The corporation can sue the United States, and they can try the case in one of these third-party courts that are set up by the World Bank.
So in essence, I think what you're saying is this country would give up an element of its sovereignty. We would lose the right as a sovereign nation to say we're banning fracking or we're banning this ingredient in children's food or whatever it might be, because then they would have these corporations would have the ability to sue against that law, and if this private court or secret court or whatever it is ruled in their favor, our own law would be overturned inside the borders of our country. Is that a fair summary?
It wouldn't actually overturn the law, but it would give corporations the ability to essentially circumvent it, right? To decide that they're going to be awarded, a claim or awarded the damages of what the government had done to them. So I'd say also the thing that's most concerning about this, and so when you talk about the TPP and you talk about TTIP, the trade agreement with Europe, is that these are massive economies that you're integrating with the United States. And a lot of these countries, they have subsidiaries that are working in both the U.S. and abroad. So, a company, let's say, that's based in New York, or let's say Pennsylvania. Let's say Pennsylvania passes a fracking ban. If a company in Pennsylvania is upset about that, they can essentially get their subsidiary, which is based in, the Netherlands, to sue under the terms of this trade agreement. And so basically, when you're incorporating, massive economies into this agreement, you're essentially just boosting the opportunity for these sorts of lawsuits to take place. Whether or not they're
So-
frivolous or not, you're expanding the opportunity for that to happen.
So you're really undermining in many ways the ability of this government to pass laws and regulate business in a meaningful way. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's certainly, as we wrap up, that's certainly what I'm hearing you say. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, that's accurate. If you're a regulator and you know that you have this trade deal that you have to worry about abiding by that, I would imagine that would probably put some doubt in your mind as you're trying to craft new rules.
Well, I hope you'll stay on this story, and I hope you'll come back and talk with us again. Cole Stangler, staff writer for In These Times. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me on.
You bet. I'm RJ Eskow, and this is the Zero Hour. We will be right back after this.